Okay.
All right, well, why don't we get started? And now I'm Mary Fridley, and I am the coordinator of the coalition. I feel very supported because a lot of my colleagues came on today because we we lost our. There was somebody who was going to be directing the improv. We're going to be doing some improvisational things, and we lost the person late in the game to COVID. So yesterday I realized I wasn't going to be able to find a replacement at the last minute. So I offered, since I'm the person who would have to accept the offer, it's probably not me making an offer. Anyway, I'm stepping in, but I sent out a missive to my friends saying, I can't do this alone. So I really appreciate some people waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do this. Many people here, since I kind of, I know many of the people here, and again, welcome Evelyn. But just to say a little bit about the coalition, which you might have heard when Wally and Kate presented, but just in case, we are now 2 years old. So amongst other things, we're here to celebrate, yes, that accomplishment. I think it's been a wonderful 2 years, and an interesting 2 years and a challenging 2 years. There's so many adjectives that one could use about the last 2 years. We have about 740 members from about 30 different countries, and I was just speaking to someone, new member in Nigeria. He runs an organization called Arts in Medicine. And is very, very interested in what we're doing, and he is doing wonderful work in that country. And so we're looking ahead to the possibilities of working together, and that's something that we're really pursuing more and more, are those kind of opportunities, because again, I think if we're going to have an impact, I mean, we could grow our membership as high as we want, and it's always gratifying when people join, but it's not a numbers game. At least it's not an individual numbers game. So we're always looking to be collaborating with people who want to creatively transform the conversation, the practice, the policies around dementia, which have been, continue to be, I think, unnecessarily damaging. So today we are, as I mentioned, we're going to do some playing together. It grew out of a conversation that we've been having within the coalition, although it's coalition, I mean, a conversation the world is having. But how do you engage in more positive and more powerful ways? Kind of stigma, humiliation, that, the kinds of things that come up all the time for people living with dementia. And also, I would argue people who aren't living with dementia, but who are impacted on dementia, or are close to people who live with dementia. And of course, we all know there's so much isolation and shame involved. And so we just thought, and there, was interest in, can we come up with can we start playing with it? And find some new ways to, more creative ways, more playful ways, more joyful ways to engage in things that are hard. I mean, we're not trying to cover that up. And I was thinking about this, and I was reading something that a good friend and mentor of mine, Lois Holtzman, recently wrote, where she said, we won't get rid of stigma or shame or labeling, but we can play with them, and in play create something new, and then create and create and create again. And if we stop, then we're vulnerable to the very ugly ways we know how to relate to each other. So I take that to heart. I think in my own experience, I think that's true. I think if we stay to the scripts that we know, our lives are, I think, and what we're able to see is very narrow. And I think one of the important things about play is just that it opens up, you can see different things. I mean, it's a little bit, I was thinking about it last night, it's a little bit like if you only thought the world was what you saw during Zoom, in Zoom sessions, you would have one view of the world, like it, and that, and as, and I know that sounds funny and kind of exaggerated, but I don't know, after 2 years, it became hard to adjust to, if you will, the broader world, because this was the lens that we were looking at for so long. So last night we started to do that. And today we're gonna, as I said, now I'm going to lead. I was gonna introduce the person who's gonna lead us, but that's me. So I've just done that. And again, just to say the obvious, this is playing, it's improvisational playing, but there's no right or wrong. This is not it's not an improvisation class. We're not trying to get everyone to be, but I think it's kind of building on the basic tenets of, if you will, improvisational play, which is active listening and saying yes and accepting whatever you're given, even if you don't agree. It's I'm going to, in a way, what we're here to do is create something together. We're doing it. It's not any of us individually. And so it's, we're going to, how we're going to do it is we're going to ask, I'm going to ask for a suggestion of a scene that we will then create. And generally speaking, I mean, again, people can suggest whatever they want. But the general parameters are, it's a scene in which it's built on one of the people in the scene experiencing some kind of stigmatizing response that they, then have trouble grappling with. Now, one of the things that we last night was kind of fun and it was very helpful is that I asked people to, in the chat, so maybe you could start doing this and we'll set up the rest of the scene. But I was just we were talking about how, to be sure, there are the obvious big ways that people are labeled, or shamed, or stigmatized, or isolated, or othered. We all do it, and it's done to us. So in that sense, it's a part of the fabric of our lives. One might argue it's an unfortunate part of the fabric, but it's a part of the fabric of our lives. So we're all engaged in it, and we all experience it in ways both big and small. So just ask people to share in the chat just a label or identity that you have, and that it could either be one you assume or one that, in the sense you experience, that people relate to you. It could be anything. So last night, for example, and it could even be a good label or positively, or at least what we in this culture identify as good or smart. Like it could be being smart, or it could be like being tall or short or whatever, but something that you both embrace, but also you can find constraining, because that's how people relate to you. Sorry, Jennifer and Jeff.
Sorry to interrupt, but the chat has been disabled.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I was going to say too.
Well, then that might just.
How about now?
Is it there now? Okay. So now you have a chat to do what I've been saying. So anyway, so I was saying, for example, one of mine is that the one is that's becoming more and more like it's both, I think, something that I take pride in, and it's getting to be more, is the person who gets things done. That, so it's really that, but it's more to just kind of share that we get locked into these identities and labels like that, and are equally constrained like that. So if people could just kind of share, yes, and keep just, it's fun. This isn't, we're not asking you to share your deepest, darkest, perfectionist. Really, Pia? I didn't know that about you. Pia, planner, yes, nerd. Organizer, yes, the quiet one, the reserved one. Others, come on, everyone has one. I'm going to be a little directive here. Okay, so we're going to create some scenes as people are there. I normally it's not. Yeah, I mean, I think we label it, and I think we label each other because it's a way of understanding. You know, like I to be sure, people have awful reasons for labeling. But I also think, I don't know, I was thinking about it this morning, that sometimes it's just helpful. You think that, oh, well, she's that. And then you kind of feel like you understand it. You have some, I mean, it's illusionary, but you know, that's kind of what I mean. Like, it's just like, oh, of course, if she's smart, this must follow. And we just assume we know people. And of course, in many situations, and certainly with people living with dementia, it becomes, I just think, unnecessarily, it can be very, very damaging, obviously. So we're going to do some scenes. I'm going to, and however, the other thing that I'm going to ask of you is, this is not easy to do. It makes people uncomfortable. It's like, I mean, it kind of brings us all out of our comfort zone, some more than others. So I'm going to ask, it's very important that on one hand, we're going to ask some people to volunteer to create scenes. And hopefully all of you will participate in some way. However, that doesn't leave the rest of us doing nothing. So amongst other things, I'm going to ask you to perform as an incredibly enthusiastic and appreciative audience. So when I say curtain up, what I want to see is a full-throated performance of you, of a group of people who think that have just heard something that I've said that you think is just the most mind-blowingly wonderful thing that you've ever heard in your entire life. Like, it's changed your life. It's changed your day. It's just nothing will be the same. So when I say curtain, and it is a performance, it is not, okay. So when I say curtain up, I want to see that performance, and then I'll say curtain down, and we'll continue. So is everyone ready? Take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, curtain up. Yes. Okay. So this is the energy we need to be giving to everything we do today. Not out of some morality, like but if it's very hard to play and be improvisational and appear ridiculous if everyone else is going like this. Yeah. It just is. Yeah, it's not playful. It's not creating that kind of environment. And I think amongst other things, if we're going to be doing some different things, whatever that means for us, my idea of what makes me feel ridiculous is not the same as what makes Terry feel ridiculous. It's not the same thing makes Robin or Beth feel ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't take a lot sometimes. So it's not a right or wrong. It's just, but if we're going to run the risk of being ridiculous together, we have got to appreciate the hell out of it. I don't care what we do together. Okay, so like, why don't we get a suggestion for a scene? Sorry, that was just, David had written, sorry, David wrote in his, I guess you were responding, David said he was the tired one. And then he said, don't mean it in a passive aggressive way, by the way. Okay.
I wanted to clarify that. That is not.
You're the only tired person today. Okay, anyway, so a scene of some kind of, Debbie.
Taxi driver who would not listen to me,
Okay,
knowing my condition, but taking total control, not listening to me from getting into the cab to the end of the cab.
okay, so let's see. What were you saying to him, or what was happening that he was not, what was he not listening to?
My taxi company knows that I have young onset Alzheimer's.
Uh-huh.
Very pleasant, very nice. This person, I keep something in the back seat with me. He was insistent that he take it and put it in the trunk because he didn't want anything in the back seat. So
Uh-huh.
I said, okay, that's fine if it fits. Well, anyway, he cracked the knob on my walker, trying
Okay,
to jam this other thing in.
gotcha.
And then I said, I'd like to go to the location that I was going to. And he said, okay. And he went to make a turn in a different direction. I said, where are you going? And I said, I'd like to go up the Queen Street Hill. And he says, this is faster. And he said,
Okay,
it might be.
I'll stop you now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get enough of the sense because
Yeah.
to create the story. Great. Okay.
Mhm.
So now we need volunteers. And what we're going to do initially is this simple, is to kind of just play with the scene, kind of as Debbie's describing it. I mean, it's just, we're not looking for truth here.
Mhm.
So it's really, and by the way, just to say a little 1 or 2 sentences about improv. And I'm saying this because it's come up a few times, but anytime you mention play or being improvisational, people assume you mean being funny or trying to be funny or having to be funny. And it's not that at all. It's actually, in a way, improv and playing for me is just, it's kind of involving, it's kind of seeing things through a different lens. It's just kind of twisting a little bit. It's a little bit like we all, I don't know about you, but it's for the longest time, I'm a walker and I'm in New York, so I walk. And I realized literally I would walk the same way when I would go to, it used to be I would go to work walking and blah, 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 and I would walk the same way. And even like, it's sometimes hard for us to even like decide to go down a different street in our annual routine. So we're not talking about having to be a fabulous, it's really playing with words. It's playing with what we might be able to do together. It's seeing things a little skew to see if we could open up different possibilities. So there's no the pressure here. I mean, there's no pressure, but it's really paying attention to what you're doing with the other person and building on that. So it really is a lot of active listening and giving and building and taking the scene somewhere, wherever you want to take it. It's, again, we are not bound by truth at all. We're not trying to recreate something. Okay, so we need 2 volunteers, 1 to play Debbie, so to speak. I mean, again, or a person living with dementia, and the other, for now, the other character would be the taxi cab driver. So Jennifer, which one are you volunteering to be?
Assign me a role.
Okay, why don't you be Debbie? Okay.
What an honor, Debbie.
David, can you be the cab driver?
I'm already driving.
Right.
Hop in.
And you know what? You can channel your tiredness.
Oh man, it's
You
all
can
gonna
use
come
it.
out.
You can use it for motivation. Okay.
I've been driving 18 hours.
Okay, so Jennifer, Dan, can we, actually, let me ask everyone, this is a relatively small group. I would rather do the scene in the midst of everyone, but would it be easier to focus on it if we highlight, spotlight them? It's really up to you. I don't care. I mean, I kind of like them with us, but does anyone have a strong feeling that, okay, so for now, we'll do it in gallery view. If it turns out to be hard, we'll change it. Okay, so when I say curtain up, you can begin the scene, however you want. Okay, ready? Curtain up.
Hi, okay, there too.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Where to?
Oh, well, I'm going up the hill to my doctor's appointment.
Okay, I'll need an address, please.
Well, it's 123 Anywhere Street.
Okay. Okay, I'll take you around the back route. You know, traffic takes you up that hill.
No. I can't. It's better to go up this hill, this Queen Street hill. Let's go that way.
No, I know traffic's crazy. Honestly, I've been driving 18 hours. I know what these streets are like.
18 hours.
Yeah,
I don't.
no, that's a whole other question. It's a whole other story. Don't worry about it. I'll get you to 123 Anywhere Street, but I'll get you there quick. but we'll go this way, honestly.
Well, please
Take my
drive,
professional advice.
please drive carefully.
Sure, I'm known for my careful driving, and speedy driving. So off we go. Buckle up, please.
You're making me feel a little bit nervous. I don't know. Well, at least I have my walker beside me. At least I feel good about that. I feel safer.
Yeah, sorry about that. Would you mind if we put that in the boot? Actually, we don't like things kind of rattling around.
The
back of our
boot.
cab.
What's a boot?
That's a whole other thing, I think.
No, we can't do that. It's very important, and I know it fits here, and I can see it. I don't want anything to happen to it.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist on the
Okay.
boot.
Okay, and let's time up. Okay, first of all, big props. You were alarmingly realistic, David. Okay, so what do people see in the scene? Let's just, because in a way, I could direct, I mean, we can come up, but in a way, we're a kind of collective director. That's our eye. So what did we see in the scene? Pia, people can just shout out.
I saw a cab driver that was not accommodating at all
Mhm,
and could have been very easily.
mhm.
Sorry, David, but you
Yeah.
played the role really well.
Deborah/Jen was being vulnerable, and he was not hearing her, was not meeting her where she was.
Ah,
Right.
others?
I felt that the taxi driver was being himself and using his own logic that I'm actually trying to help you out. This is a better way to go. I know it better. Yeah. So to him, he felt he was doing the right thing.
Right.
Actually, I thought he wasn't bad at all, considering I've gotten in New York cab drivers.
Yeah, well, it's all
It
relative.
sounds like he was being a little trying to accommodate her a little
Okay.
bit, maybe not so understanding of her not giving full detail, but he didn't like raise his voice, or to me, it didn't seem aggressive.
Yeah.
We all have seen some really aggressive cab drivers.
Yeah.
So he was
Okay.
tired,
This
very
is
tired.
helpful. This is very helpful. Okay. So let's play the scene, because again, kind of one of the keys to improv and playing is, and again, many of you probably have heard this or were aware, but is the saying yes and. That is the heart of improv. So it's all about, in a way, creating that ensemble, creating the group, and making everyone look good. So it's not about your own feelings. It's not about your own emotionality. It's not about any individual in particular. It's what is created collectively, and that everything that is given is an offer that the group can then decide and figure out if and how they want to build with it. But it's an offer. So let's see if we can play with that in this scene, because I think what I think Evelyn and Allison were saying is valuable. I think could we identify some offers, both from, in a way, Debbie's character and David's character? And it's harder to do in life, particularly if situations are. And for the moment, I'm going to ask that we accept that neither character is a monster. David is the cab driver, because again, there are situations you find yourself in. You're limited in what you can do, but for the sake of this, that's kind of a dead end. So I would just simply, I think there's situations where you can't do a lot of playing. And in which case you go on. But for the sake of this, we're not talking about that. That might be another conversation, but it makes it kind of hard to play if if it's just gonna hit a dead end, then just there's just no place to go with it dramatically. So what are the offers? What do we see? And then we can redirect the scene.
He could tell her, just bring something like, oh, so where what a beautiful day it is. How are you feeling today? Or I
Yeah.
like that dress.
You're talking about David, or you're talking about the cab driver, sorry.
Right. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. But what? Did anyone hear the cab driver making an offer that the passenger could have, that would have allowed them to kind of make a different kind of connection?
Well, I think the cab driver was offering a quicker route with less traffic.
Yeah.
And in the frame of, from the perspective of knowing better what route would get to the location.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, so I think that was the offer. What the cab driver did with the response is a different question, but I think
Yes, yes.
the cab driver's perspective, it was an offer to get the person there quicker.
Yeah.
I feel that if I have this condition, I'm going into the cab, I would explain to the cab driver that I have a condition, I really need or want to have my walker with me. I get really nervous when it's not with me, so that he can understand that I need it in the front instead of, so if I'm up front and asking for his support, and like, if you don't mind, can I, and it's really clean, I just put it next to me. Do you mind?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess the offer in response to that was the suggestion of putting it in the back, the boot, for a safer passage.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did say, I don't want it rattling about. So,
Yeah.
So I guess you could see that as an offer.
Yeah. Also, the thing, it's interesting, and Jennifer, I wonder what your experience was, because you almost went with it. And again, I'm not being critical, it just was interesting to see. At some point, the cab driver said he'd been driving for 18 hours and was very tired. And you kind of leaned in and said, 18 hours. And then you kind of pulled back again. Like there was for a moment, there was like this different, it felt like you were going to do a different kind of connection. But I was just curious about, not by, again, this is advancing the scene. What was the experience like for you, Jen?
Well, someone who, and this is just me, who has more power and control than me is someone in my life I would defer to. Not proud of that, but something I'm working on. So it felt like this person was in control of me, so to speak. And so I was going to do anything not to tick him off so that he would drive safely, and that I would get there, and that he would not shove me in the boot along with the walker.
I see. So, okay, now it's helpful. It's helpful. All right.
And
Yeah,
I mean, I know I have, I don't have dementia, but I do have other conditions that make me vulnerable to people. So it's about relying on the goodness of strangers, like, hoping beyond hope that it will turn out okay.
Nothing.
I guess I'm just reflecting on the question at hand in the scene, which maybe is one of safety, and the way one defines safety seems to be really different from the two players. So to that example, Jennifer, realizing that a person who's been awake and driving for 18 hours is about to take you someplace feels really unsafe. Whereas the driver's concern is about an object rattling around in the back seat, which seems less of a risk, so so it just seems like then maybe the question of sort of how one defines a feeling of safety and what that risk assessment is like becomes
Well,
big
let's go
debate.
with that. Let's go with that. Let's keep playing. So why do we have, let's continue this scene, but I think with two different players. So we still need a passenger and a cab driver, so.
No,
Huh?
I'll
You'll play.
play whoever, yeah,
Okay, but you be the passenger,
okay.
cab driver.
I can be a cab driver.
Who can be?
Hello, Terry.
Oh, Terry. Okay, good. So here's, and then what I'm gonna do in this one is gonna be slightly different. We're gonna have be kind of collectively in the scene with you. But here's what we're playing with. Your job is only to accept offers. And whatever you think is to respond to the offer and really work to, in a way, not do what you might do naturally. So it's a little bit of a different performance. This is not, in a way, this is, quote, the less realistic one, if you will. So let's just play and see. And what I want everyone else to do, and not in some kind of, it's not in a way we're the collective ensemble for this, is if you see an offer, in a way you can say, I've only done this in person, so I'm trying to just figure out. It's to just say, I have an offer that for Allison to respond to. So just be team Allison or team cab driver, but to kind of let it play. But to be, I'm asking everyone to kind of lend our collective ears and eyes to this and support Terry and Allison. So why don't we start the scene again? When I say curtain up, start the scene and play it. But again, the direction is you're looking for offers to build with. All right. No matter what is said, like, and if you get stuck, say I'm stuck. What do I do? And then we can collectively kind of say something. Okay. So it's not we're doing this together. It's not. Okay, so you ready, Allison and Terry?
Hello. Oh, thank.
Sorry, you ready? Okay, curtain up.
Yeah. Hello, morning. You have the address. I'm going to 123 Somewhere Street.
Oh, I know where that is. We're not too far away.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not far at all, just up the hill. If you don't mind, I have this walker that I need to have with me. I feel a lot safer if it's with me. I'll just put it on the side. Is that okay with you?
Of course. As a matter of fact, let me help you first into the cab.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So now I'm gonna take that and put it in the back. Just give me a moment to put it in the trunk. Okay.
Back? Oh no. I get very nervous.
Oh,
I have
you
to have it
did
next to
say
me,
that.
and it's
You
very
did.
clean. You know, I'll hold on to it.
You did say that. Okay, no problem. Just keep it there. You comfortable? All right. Put your safety
Thank
belt
you.
on.
Thank you.
Okay, let's
Super.
go.
Yeah, you must have did you have a long day already? This must be a pretty tough job, right?
Oh, yes, it is. But I really am impressed with that dress that you're wearing today. It's really pretty.
My
Yeah,
dress.
it's my favorite
Oh,
color.
my favorite. I wear it like every other day. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, scene. Thank you. Okay, so let's keep playing with this. what did we see? Where might we go with this? I mean, we can also introduce other elements, you know. I mean, one of the things that strikes me always is, and this came up yesterday, I was thinking, and on one hand, the scenes are invariably one-on-one, and that's how a lot of things happen. And I wonder, like, and it feels like we do so much in our lives, like by ourselves, even when they're very difficult situations. So I guess I'm wondering, and in a way, people can respond to this as you are. This is funny language, but it's in terms of building on what we've seen in the scenes. It's very hard to do this kind of thing alone, you know. So I guess I wonder, like, what did others see, and what might never mind. What did other people see?
Go ahead, Robin.
Oh, it was a totally different vibe when the second round with yes anding. It was just positive. I need this, great, and it just felt like they were not fighting each other. It makes me aware of how many invisible offers, obvious and subtle offers, are out there every day, and if the stakes are not dangerous, we're so much better served in our relationships to yes and, isn't it true?
Yeah, really nicely said, Robin. I totally agree. I saw lots of beautiful offers there, and made me reflect on the previous scene where it felt like it was much more shutting down. Like there was it was just this very curt turn taking, but no offer. So I totally agree. I saw that really much more so in the second scene. It was more of a conversation.
I think one thing that I feel so I have to mention, and what I advocate is that let's not be ashamed, and let's ask for help when we need to. So that's why I explain things first, so that people can try to understand my situation or what I need. And yeah, and also, like, communication is a fun thing to do. I've learned a lot now to be less judgmental, in that I want to have fun. So if I'm going to get annoyed with somebody, I'm going to get annoyed with myself. So I try not to. I remind myself, not so easy, but yeah.
Yeah. Right, Debbie.
Okay, I just wanted to say that was really well done. And David, I did report you. Now I have to say, there's a protocol with our taxi cabs. Anything that can be put in the back seat can be put in the back seat. It just has to be belted in, and they know the protocol. There's also sensitivity training that Blue Line Transportation here in Hamilton has done, and the cab drivers are to listen to the individual. The taxi driver, yes, said it's a faster route, but it's also a longer route because it was the highway. The highway was blocked that day.
Debbie,
because
sorry, Debbie,
Yeah.
let me just interrupt you a minute.
Yeah.
Why are you telling us this? And I'm not saying that critically, but given
No.
that, but what?
Because there were
Why are
so
you
many
telling us this?
so many circumstances that I knew could have happened, and I was sharing with the cab driver that this has happened before when they take the highway. So an $18 doctor trip to me ended up being $40, and I missed my appointment.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, bad things happen. By the way, none of this is designed to say
Yeah,
things we do have consequences.
yeah.
It's not that. I think it's more, I'm asking because in some sense, like I was struck, for example, when Jen, who's not here, so, but in her description of the, when I was asking her why she kind of, when she heard the guy had 18 hours been on the, and she kind of said, oh, and then she started talking about how he's an authority figure. And so again, please hear this as I'm not denying any of
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah.
This is to try to figure out how we can get out of our kind of own limited and often victimized and kind of responses. It's not
Gotcha. Yeah.
and again, just to say, we weren't trying to capture the truth of it.
That's true. That's
I'm
true.
guessing we all know that. We've all lived it, and we've all had our responses and been hurt by responses and things.
But I think what, if I am hearing you, Debbie, that one has to remember the facts that you added on tell us that we are all coming with additional stuff. There's always extra details. When we're interacting with people, we should not forget that there's always some extra information that we don't have, right? So you had that previous experience, and the taxi driver was treating you as if you didn't have that additional lived experience and wisdom.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Robin, if I can just add to that, it's really interesting to bring up that one side, and then we can also be aware of the other side. This taxi driver has been driving for 18 hours, perhaps 18 years.
Yeah.
And when you enter the cab, you're in his domain, right? So now he's the
Oh.
expert, and he's not going to listen. So that's where we all have to meet each other, regardless of our lived experience, and just listen and learn from each other for sure. So appreciate you sparking that in my head there, Robin.
Yeah.
So the other thing that came to mind is also, I was just thinking also, like with such a bad experience, what do we do with it? No, because the next time I get into the taxi, I'm going to think, oh my gosh, I have to get into a taxi again, and the guy's going to be horrible. So how do I release that emotion, that negative emotion that I'm holding? Because the next time I go into a taxi, I don't want to hold that, because I want to have a happy day. I want to have a joyous day. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, do you know people who would not respond the same way as you? Because not everybody has the same response to those kind of situations. We're all actually, some people are actually don't get, I'm not saying any of us are amongst those people. I'm just saying, so do you know of, because I guess it kind of raises, what do you want your performance to be? Like how is Debbie going to enter the cab? Because in a way, I know the response, oh, that's a strange question. What do you mean? I am who I am. Well, yeah, but you still can make a choice about how you want to enter that cab. And is part of that performance to label the cab driver as an authority figure that you couldn't possibly, and that's perfectly fine. And none of this is said like, oh, that's the wrong choice. It's more that we have choices to make. And one thing I found very helpful in my life, honestly, in playing is if I can't do something well, but then I imitate somebody who does. You know? Like there are a lot of people who do things much better than me. I know that's shocking, but hey. And I really imitate them. I go, okay, what would this, and often I've done this with Pia. Pia actually is somebody I admire, and we're so not alike, but there's things about that I've kind of incorporated, and that's true for others. So I guess it's, maybe it's coming back to, we're so relentless about doing this by ourselves and sticking to who we think we are, that and again, it's not a bad thing. It just limits us from kind of playing around with things and not having to be the same, and forget, because I found it helpful. Sorry, I don't remember who said it, but it's kind of leave aside how people respond for a minute. That's because we so quickly get, well, I had to do that because they did that. Well, why? You couldn't play with that. You had to there was some force that was forcing us to be a jerk just because somebody else was. No, we all do it. I can be as jerky as anybody. But that's what I mean by playing. Do we have to do it in the same way? Could we become another character and enter that cab or enter that, whatever the scenes are? And I'm really asking, could we do that? Do people think that's strange? Is that a...
I think it's helpful, Mary, to that the playing the different scenarios is helpful to see various ways that this can play out. But just to come back to what Robin was saying, I feel like there's only so much somebody can do in that moment of interaction. Of course, we all make choices, and those choices are open to us. But if your conversational partner is not cooperating in that way, then I feel as though that ultimately is what changes the direction. So you make an offer, it's not accepted. You might try several other times to make an offer, and if it's not accepted, how many more times are you going to make that offer? Which is, I think, why in my own work, I feel so strongly about relational caring. It has to be reciprocal. And if it's not, for how long is the one conversational partner going to make that effort?
Okay.
Yeah, then I think there's also the other choice that I can make. So if you ask me 10 years ago, I'll be like a firing ball. I mean, I could go out there and strangle the taxi driver, or my voice would be higher and sharper than his. But today I want to conserve my energy. Today I want to look after myself. I am more important than the taxi driver or anybody else around me. So I want to consider, if I'm going to get angry with this person, or if I'm going to, whatever I do that is not beneficial for me in any kind of temperament, will not help me. So I always want to think, let me save my energy. This person doesn't, it's not interesting for me to talk with. Let me not talk. Or, this is not a good company for me. Let's not keep that company. It's easier said, but I have moved quite a bit from my earlier mindset at this age and its dementia.
Yeah.
I ditto that, because in living with Alzheimer's, the thing is that for us, or the reason why I'm so positive, is because most people are so biased as to how they treat us. So therefore, there is something, I'm on the phone. So that's why sometimes we have to be proactive, so people can either respect us, or people can understand us, or you educate them. So with their biases, oh, you have dementia, and so that's a whole different topic, but I'm just throwing that out there of how we are, or how we would like for people to treat us.
Well, let's play with that. So everyone other than Terry is the person. So in a way, you're the collective person who's being responded to. So Terry, let's do the scene. Your line is, you've got dementia, however you just said it, which was perfect. It was a great performance. All right, so let's play with our collective response. So when I say curtain up, Terry, you just say that line the same way, but you're the person saying you've got dementia, and however you just said it, okay? So curtain up.
Oh, I have dementia.
No, you're the person saying, oh, sorry. Evelyn, say, I've got dementia.
I'm lost for a minute.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. I have dementia.
Okay, now Terry, you're the person who doesn't believe her, that performance.
You don't look like you have dementia.
Okay.
Are you
Great.
sure?
Okay, now collective person living with dementia, let's play. How are we responding? Let's play, but what's a playful accepting the offer?
I'll be,
Well, how, is that me? Or is
And
this anyone?
Anyone can say you're the collective person, but so if you want to speak, go ahead. I mean, anyone
Well,
can begin.
how are you supposed to look?
well, I just never, I mean, I really don't know too much about the disease. But I would like to learn more. I mean, I have to say, you really look good. You don't look like you have it at all. Really, you don't.
Well, I guess I just don't know how it's supposed to look, but I do forget things every now and then.
Yeah, all of us
Come
have
on,
that.
let's-
I forget things every now and then, and you sound perfect. Oh, I'm supposed to. Oh, I'm supposed to measure. Sorry, I put the other way around. Okay, see, there you go.
Okay. So what's the offer in you don't look like you have dementia? This is because I think it's easy to find the offers in things that are kind of, oh, you look beautiful today. I love your hair, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever people say.
Or
the
just
more
read
positive
red.
things. So, but the offer we've been given is you don't look like you have dementia.
You could say yes. Yes, it's
Yes.
so interesting, isn't it? I've heard that before. What I'm learning is that there's all different ways to look. Isn't that which makes it so interesting. There's no one way to look.
Robin, can I just say, I love how you validated their situation.
Don't just add,
and
Dan.
them.
Don't speak to, just
I'm
add.
sorry.
It's okay.
you,
Just
Robin.
add. I know you, Robin's good. And however, just add what you want to say. We're building a collective response. So
Right.
Robin just offered yes, and it's interesting. I get that a lot.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So I have PPA, which is primary progressive aphasia, and the logopedic type. So my issue is retrieving of words. So yeah, and my friends who are in the same category, we look fine. We we're all fine, except the time when I cannot find my words.
Yes, for me, it's interesting to hear that you can't see it because actually it's invisible. It's something that's happening in my brain. And so it's not visible on the outside. Actually, it's true for most folks with dementia,
Okay,
but you can't tell by looking.
that's great. This is great. A slight redirect. Add curiosity about Terry's character. Because in some sense, we're responding to her, but we're not particularly interested or curious about her. So again, I'm just saying add to keep building on these really wonderful responses, the yes and responses. Let's just see if we can add a smidge of bringing Terry more into this.
Where do you think that comes from? That everyone with dementia looks the same? Where did you hear that from somebody? Did you read about that? I'm just curious where that idea comes from.
Oh, Terry, have you
Sorry, can I just do sorry, I'm just curious because I love what you said, Pia, and since we're friends, I can ask you a slightly. Do you think that, in your mind, was that a challenging question or was that a curiosity question or a little bit of both?
It was definitely both. I was trying to be really polite.
Okay.
And was actually genuinely curious if she even
Okay.
knows where that idea came from. And I wanted to engage her about it because I think my hope is to change that perception.
Okay. That's
So
helpful.
curiosity and some critique there as well.
Okay. Try it again, lose the critique. And don't worry, you can critique I'm sure you have other spaces you can, but for the moment.
And do.
Right. As you seek perfection, that will kind of, okay. But so we have the experience. Now be just curious and wanting to learn more about Terry without the critique. So take 2.
I don't know if I can.
Well,
You're asking me to change my identity.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
That's a very,
Yay! I knew I could count on you.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I can.
Okay. Can I cheat for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Wow. You know, and I'm going to build on, I think, what Robin was saying. Wow. That's really interesting. You know, that comes up a lot. And it's not that I can't feel hurt by it. I do. I mean, and I'm really wondering, I'm just really curious about your relationship to dementia. Because I hear it because I hear, you know, I know it's common to think that, and we kind of all, we believe that if you're, you know, people often think groups of people are alike, but I'm really curious about like, do you believe that, or what's been your experience with dementia?
Well, people, it's easy for them to be judgmental because you assume, or there's assumptions that we're unable to think or to talk regularly to people.
Yes. Yeah, right. Terry, I'm asking you to, for now, be the character you were, which is the person saying, you don't look like you have dementia.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
okay. See what I mean?
In some ways, no, it's okay, it's fine. But that's a wonderful thing about playing. You can do retake after retake after retake. There is nothing. You can just say, okay, well, that scene didn't go well. Let's try it again.
Oh,
But you know what I mean? But that to me, and I'm sorry, we're running over, so I don't want to
Yeah,
keep.
I gotta go,
But
everybody.
You know what I mean, Pia? That it's just a finding out more about, and it might be learned eventually that it's not somebody you particularly want to go further with, but it's what there's. I don't think there's much. And to me, my concern is it restores your humanity. I'm actually. Because I think it just allows us to be a bit more open to finding out that people are a bit more complex than perhaps we think they are. So anyway, apologies for going over. Thank you all, and congratulations
Thanks, Terry.
on 2 years. And we will see you again in the future. And Evelyn, so glad you can join us, and hopefully we'll do something again.
Bye,
Have a good night. Bye-bye.